The system is totally rigged and broken. First, the issue of voter fraud. According to Pew, there are 24 million voter registrations in the United States that are either invalid or significantly inaccurate.
Well, that's Donald Trump speaking this morning in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, again claiming the election, in his words, can be rigged as he continues to warn of possible voter fraud. His allegations causing backlash from both Democrats and some Republicans, amid concerns that he will not accept the verdict of the American people if he does lose the race. Half an hour ago, Hillary Clinton in her speech said Mr. Trump is, quote, threatening our democracy. Dr. Larry Sabato joins us. He's director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia. Larry, in 2012, 118 million Americans voted in the presidential race. Is it really possible, in your view, as Mr. Trump has contended, that the results can be rigged?
No. I mean, it depends on what he is defining as rigged. If he's just talking about the news media, well, that's a perennial. You know, we're all subject to abuse in every election season, and that's fine. But if he is really focusing on just voter fraud, and the word rig does suggest voter fraud, he's terribly wrong. People who have examined this system very, very carefully think we have the best election system around, and we do, partly because we're so decentralized, Eric. Our system isn't run by the federal government. It's run by the 50 states and the District of Columbia, and furthermore, it's really run county to county and city to city. So rigging an election would involve a conspiracy of massive proportions.
And what does that mean when you talk about a conspiracy? Because, I mean, you're right. County to county, they have different machines. All states have different machines. It's not one major system.
And that is a great thing, by the way. Diversity is a great strength of this system because it would be awfully difficult to hack into our system. It's not impossible to hack into a machine or a certain type of machine, although it's difficult to do. The other really important point is, Eric, we have a bipartisan election system that people have worked hard to build. At every stage, examining the machines before Election Day, examining them during the day, examining them afterwards, looking at all the procedures. You have both Democrats and Republicans working together. A majority of the secretaries of state who really run the elections in the United States are Republicans. A majority of the governors are Republicans. You know, again, it boggles the mind to think of the size of the conspiracy necessary to, quote, rig our elections.
So, you know, you do have cases where the election officials have stolen elections. You've got absentee ballot fraud, for example. That happened in Troy, New York. Vulnerable voting, when there's vote harvesting, the allegations of going into nursing homes to steal votes. And Clay County, I got a whole list, Larry. Clay County, Kentucky, ready for this one? The politicians spent $400,000 buying the votes of 8,000 people. They paid them $25. That's 8,000 votes over 3 elections plus. So you do have these type of cases. I mean, even in Indiana, the presidential petitions in 2008, they were faked. And the prosecutor believed that President Obama did not have the legal number to actually get on the ballot in the primary in 2008. So, I mean, people also are concerned about what happens behind closed doors. I mean, is that warranted, and is that enough to, you know, affect a nationwide election?
Eric, I'm familiar with some of these cases, and there is no question in isolated cases there have been instances of voter fraud, and there have been throughout our history. I'm delighted to tell you, as somebody who spent some time investigating voter fraud in the 1990s, it gets better every year. Our systems get better, and we're able to detect these things faster and take care of them more quickly. One fraudulent vote is one vote too many. No question. We don't want any fraudulent votes. But when you consider that in this election, 135 million Americans will vote and have their votes counted, it is remarkable that only a handful of votes, at most, will be fraudulent. So it's not nearly enough to affect the results of an election for president.
Donald Trump has specifically pointed at Pennsylvania, for example. He's urged people to go out to certain communities, a suggestion of some African-American communities, heavily Democratic communities in Philadelphia, pointing to the fact that in some of those areas, Mitt Romney got 0 votes. Let me show you some facts. This is from the 2012 election in the 4th Ward in Philadelphia, the 4th Division. Obama got 407 votes, as you can see there. Mitt Romney, 0. Another division, 410, Romney, 3. But there are 1,686 divisions. 59 apparently had 0 votes for Romney. And the same time, look at the opposite. This is flipped in other parts of the country where Obama got no votes. In Marlborough County in Wyoming, I've showed this, in Warren voting place, Mr. Romney got 60, Obama 0. North Lusk, Romney 88, Obama 1. And in Utah, Millard County, Mr. Romney got 70. President Obama got 1 vote. So is this voter fraud, Larry, or is this voter voting, plain and simple?
Eric, it's voting. We are very polarized in this country, and I remember commenting at the time on the Philadelphia votes because it's eye-catching, except then you look at the precincts carefully and you recognize that they're almost completely African-American. Well, in the country as a whole, Mitt Romney got about 5 or 6% of the African-American vote, and a lot of that was suburban African-American vote, those who had higher incomes, higher education, and so on. So in those Philadelphia precincts, I can easily believe there were no votes for Romney. You mentioned Utah and Wyoming. At least until this year, Utah was one of our 2 or 3 most Republican states. Wyoming still is. You have large pieces of those states where you can't find a Democrat if you look hard. So it's understandable.
And finally, quickly, bottom line, do you have confidence and faith in the election process and in our election officials across the country?
I could not have more confidence, not just in the process, but in the outstanding, wonderful people who run it. And I've been around elections for decades, and I've had a chance to meet a wide variety, Eric, of the Democrats and Republicans and independents who run our election system. They are terrific people. They work very hard to make sure that our system is honest, and all of us ought to thank them and have confidence in their work.
Yeah, you know, they work all the time. A lot of us think that they, just work like once every 4 years. They're running a lot of different elections. Dr. Larry Sabato,
right.
University of Virginia. Always good to see you, Larry. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.